This is StreamBlast here on the ScreenBlast podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Swan, today joined alongside a man very confused, but always with us.
Canine Biscuits.
Yeah, and how you doing, man?
Pretty good. I thought we had like everything going good to record because we were starting early, and then Discord started fucking up, and the transition remote started fucking up. But we got it running now. Hopefully it stays that way.
That's right.
If it fucks up in the middle of recording, at least we have some kind of thing running. Yes. We'll just like edit one part together. Right. The working part together with the.
Yeah, we will fuck around with this, and 12 years later it'll come out. That's how it works. By the way, we have a guest with us today, third member. You just don't see him here on camera, but the man, the myth, the legend, the man with so much to say but no place to say it, but here on ScreenBlast. Go ahead and say what you got to say, man.
Let that die. Okay, I will give YouTube a Twitch channel. I swear.
I mean, we'll put the budget in at some point. I don't know, Mark. Should we even think about putting the budget in for this man? I don't think we should.
I'll give him $2.
$2. I'll up it to $3. I think
that's over budget. That's over budget. We can't afford that.
We could do like always do a cardboard cutout of what he looks like. That's not too difficult.
Okay. I got a fucking cardboard cutout of. Huh?
What'd you say, Martin?
You guys know I can get up there to you, right?
No, this is a fortified studio. What are you talking about?
I can lock the door, bitch.
Oh my god. But yeah, man. We'll just do a cardboard cutout of you. We'll have you in like probably the third corner or whatever, and you're just gonna, Then we'll just cut to that image. It might even not look like you at all. It might just.
I'll just have a picture of a used toilet pop up every now and again.
Actually, I think I can find that on like probably like a clip art, like the shittiest fucking Microsoft Word clip art from like 2004. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the topic.
Hello, this is Ed.
Ed.
And Freddy.
Freddy!
Stay tuned for more Cartoon Fridays.
Don't we hear Scooby-Doo enough? You gotta take over Cartoon Fridays, too?
Let's go on to the topic, let's talk about this thing that just dropped, by the way. This has been long in the making. Peach Creek, if you guys don't know, is made by this awesome team of YouTubers, and their whole point is that they've we got to you,
still on me?
And you were trying to fucking... Anyway, moving on. So Peach Creek is this thing made by YouTubers that obviously tried to make a follow-up to Ed Ed and Eddy. I'm
drinking iced coffee! Go back.
We all know that's alcohol. But the whole issue was, of course, Cartoon Network is not going to do this themselves. In fact, that is the whole problem. Like, and so, like we all would want to do, this team did it. And so they just dropped their first episode of, we don't know how many episodes they want to do, but they've made clips over the past couple years. They've, brought the idea to their audience, and now we have the first official episode. And we're going to talk about this because it was cool to see that it dropped just, if not a couple hours ago, a few hours ago, a couple days ago. So we were right on the presses on this, so we were excited to talk about this. Mark, before we get into this, I do want to talk about Ed Ed and Eddy overall. What do you think of the show and what influence?
I'm going to be quick because, the show itself is a whole different discussion. That's a long, extended podcast. But, it's a very good show from my childhood. I like that there's no moral right in these characters. The main characters are scumbags, and everyone around them are scumbags. And it's just, very... the character, types are just kind of realistically observed.
Yes.
Of the crappy people you'll find in your elementary school or something.
No, it's that's the thing about Ed Ed and Eddy is it works very well to portray itself as it's very down to earth while being super animated.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The character types are down to earth, but the situations and the world itself is just very cartoony. And like the best part is that, which makes it so memorable, is the wacky sound effects. Which I remember, I think like half a decade ago, like that the soundboard or the sound library to Ed, Ed and Eddy leaked online, and there was people were just like inserting Ed, Ed and Eddy sound effects to like everything.
Why are there 2 beds in
to like God of War 3, to like the Avengers Endgame fight, to the Avengers Infinity War fight, and it just makes it funny every time. My favorite sound effect is like that sumo sound goes
What the fuck?
or like that doll sound effect like
Oh my god.
And like when you look at serious action scenes, like live actions, like live action action scenes like Avengers and stuff, and then you hear those sound effects, it's a riot. It's funny.
It's like, oh, obviously, here's one of the key reasons why it was so funny, on top of the situational humor that you would get from the animation itself. You know? Martin, you got anything else to say on this?
No, you basically said everything. It was a great show from your childhood. I can't really find any faults in it. Maybe in the later seasons, but for the most part, yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, one of the things about Ed, Ed and Eddy is the fact that, you know, it is also very special in the history of Cartoon Network. Of course, back in the day, Cartoon Network really was sort of building this animation realm of, you know, original, from their own studio, being built from the ground up, essentially. And this was the first series that was not in that wheelhouse. It was made by made at AKA Cartoon. I think it was Antonucci is his last name.
He made a weird cartoon called The Brothers Grunt or something like that.
Yeah.
For MTV.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this cartoon is so special that before HBO Max, Cartoon Network only had season 3 available legally to watch.
That's how much they care. That's how much they care. You know, and so that's why, you know, we've talked, by the way, now that, you know, it went off air in 2008 or 9, or, you know, everyone's talking about the idea of what would Ed, Ed and Eddy look like as a slightly more mature cartoon. You know, the idea of a reboot's been passed around over and over. Obviously, Cartoon Network is super against this. The only thing that they really lean toward is rebooting merchandisable things. They don't give a fuck at all, flying fuck about their original animation outside of that. So it was really out of the realm of possibility. And so, you know, we've been just sitting here, idealizing what that would be like. And of course, everyone has their own interpretation. But here we finally have something physical, you know, a manifestation that is real, and that is Peach Creek itself. And I brought up this lineup here because I wanted to give everyone that worked on this at least some sort of acknowledgement. I appreciate this small animated thing. Like, I really do. You know, because it just takes you right back in, I think. And I think they do a really good job, not only in the art and the design of the characters, but just in the situations, the setting itself, the music. It all feels like it's just an evolved tone. It's not like, you know, they didn't just keep it stuck in the same way. They didn't just use the same background music. It harkens back to it, but it's unique on its own. And I think that they do a really good job here on this idea of it being a follow-up. You know what I mean, Mark?
I get what you mean. Okay. Are we going straight to opinions, or are you gonna talk about every single member of this?
Oh no, I'm not talking about every single member.
I thought that's where you're going.
Oh no, that's way too many people. I'm just saying, I appreciate all of them. Unless, hey guys downstairs, you want me to talk about every one of these guys?
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Mark, what did you think about this? Because when I saw it last night, I was very, very, very excited to hear your thoughts on it. And I just wanted to share this with anyone I could because. Again, I think Ed, Ed and Eddy is nostalgia amplified, and seeing this here, it's like just, again, getting these characters in just any bit, you almost get that interpretation, you know. But I want to hear your thoughts before I go any further.
I thought it was a pretty good fan fiction. This is a fun one. It's I like the chilled atmosphere. And this is a very realistically observed if the where the characters of Ed, Ed and Eddy would be if they got older. It definitely doesn't have the same hyper energy as the original show, but I don't really mind that because it's just a fan project, and this is a really nice one, even though the ending does get very weird, and I'm pretty sure it's coming together, but like it's just like that was a very out of nowhere ending, but I'm sure they have a plan for it. But it's it's a free, unofficial like YouTube video, and it's for that I can only give it praise because it's fun. It's a fun time for it. I mean, if this was official, I'd question like the direction, like because Ed and Eddy I know for it's high energy, and like.
That's true.
Where if you ask me where I picture how the Ed boys would be when they're older, it would just be more of the same, but they're just older, and I mean we canonically see that with there was a episode where they just turn old, and they're just the same, just old. All right, so that's my opinion. So Martin, what do you think of the show?
Well, like you said earlier, for the most part, it just started, so I don't have a big opinion on it. For what I've seen so far, I do enjoy it. Like you said, you brought up the weird transition at the end where it became a lot more metaphorical with their with like the whole section with Meg. It's a little out there, but like I said, you can't really fault it since it is a fan project. They're doing something compared to what Cartoon Network is doing, which is nothing. So for now, I'll keep my opinions just a lot less opinionated. What I'm saying, I'm be like,
you don't want to be too critical. I got you.
Yeah.
I'll be on. Yeah, I'll be honest. Honestly, I thought I didn't mind that it was slower paced because I mean they're high schoolers, right? If you're in elementary school, if you look at like when I get on a bus and I was on a going to work or doing whatever, and you get on a bus and there's a bunch of elementary school students there, they're usually a little more energetic than high schoolers. High schoolers can be obviously energetic too, but usually like there's a lot of especially this trio here. I would imagine would be more chill. The only one that there's only one I would actually think would have a lot of energy when they're, in their final years or last year of high school here. So I felt like this was very much going to end up like a Ferris Bueller situation where they're obviously dealing with a situation where there's just 3 different energies and they're all converging on the fact that this friendship is being stretched thin just because they're getting older. And so, even though they're hanging out, it's like, well, I kind of want to do this, or I have to do this, or and only one of them really, really wants to hang out necessarily, regularly. So I do like the idea that it's slower paced because that's just what happens when you get older, and I like that we got to see this perspective, and yeah, it does get a lot more. That last bit is very interesting, and I do think that it's obviously tying into the fact that they are finally done in terms of like what story they want to tell. This is a story that they've been concepting for 2 straight years, or more, probably longer, because this has been a passion project they announced 2 years ago. So clearly they thought about this longer than 2 years, and I do think that the idea is going to fully form whenever they finish this. The only thing I'm more worried about is that Warner Brothers tries to claim it because they claimed even the Meat Canyon video of fucking Bugs Bunny. That shit was fucking demonic. But I mean, it's still Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers will claim anything. So
will they? I know Viacom will.
Viacom will, but it's a corporation and it's Cartoon Network content, and they're loosely trying to play around with the rules here, and I like the fact that they call it Pete's Creek, and they're trying not to get too deep into the weeds, but they've got a lot of inside baseball stuff.
Even if they claim it, they won't it won't get rid of it. Just like the Meat Canyon video.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to get rid of it. It's just like instead of it being theirs, it becomes something else entirely.
I accept this as its own interpretation, but like I said, it's a realistically observed it's a realistically observed interpretation of the Ed and Eddy world, and to me the actual world is just very high energy and very cartoony. I do like they insert meta jokes just like the original cartoon does. You can definitely tell that these are really big fans of the original cartoon.
Absolutely.
It's writing for this.
Absolutely, and I just think again, I have no again, I think this is, when you think about this being a YouTube team of people just saying, we're going to do this, I would give this, like, I'm not going to rate this, but this is just flawless to me. I don't have an issue with this. I don't have a... Again, I also again, I think I've already brought up, I love the music. I love the fact that, like, the music is not exactly Ed and Eddy from the past. It references themes that you hear, but then it comes back to it being original. I think that's a really good way of doing it. So again, great music, great character ideas, great dialogue. You know, we saw the shorts before, and I think you could tell that they really worked on this dialogue to make sure it and dialogue in terms of delivery as well. The delivery sounds a lot better this time around than it did the second to last short that we saw.
I wouldn't say it's flawless, but this is definitely a really good beginning.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I also do love that in the what is that? Like the dream sequence, whatever that is. You get the original animation, essentially. They go so far as to literally animate it in a way that's
mimicking the fish show, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a 10 out of 10, you know, in terms of, like, getting to that point. But, again, sorry, not just 10 out of 10 for doing that overall.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, again, but to me, at least, flawless. I understand you have a different stance, but it's all good. Because, again, we both think that this is pretty good in terms of what it is, and that's all that matters. But, guys, I think they did a really good job on this. Martin, do you have anything else to say on this?
Nope, not like I say. I get a couple more episodes out there before I put my 2 cents in. No matter how long it takes, even if it's 4 years, like you said.
Yeah, I have no problem waiting for whatever happens in the future. And again, the point is, like, Cartoon Network could have been doing this, but they aimed for... We talked about this literally yesterday. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But Cartoon Network stopped aiming their content for children, and they could have also aimed for making something like this on Adult Swim, but I do appreciate this idea, and nothing wrong with, like you said,
I'd rather them doing something like... If Adult Swim was to do something like this, I'd rather them do something with, like... Kind of like it was a similar vibe of this, but with different... Like, with a different IP. Because Ed Ed and Eddy ended where it needs to end. And,
yes,
like,
that's
the creator said so himself as well. Because, like, the movie, like, was a good ending for it. I think also another original ending, a funny ending was, like, the episode when they all turned old. That was meant to be the ending, the original ending of that show. But it got so popular, like, the creator was like, okay, I'll make more. And then he ended it with the movie. And I think, like, with those 2 endings, I think it's just like I think this series is perfect for what it is. Nice. But this is a good video. This is a good fan project. I like this.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the next point.
I just want you to know how sorry we are that things got so fucked up with us and Mr. Wallace. We got into this thing with the best intentions, really. I never...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in.
Secret Invasion. This has been it was originally a very highly anticipated series back in the day. People were very curious about what happened to Nick Fury. You know, like, and you know, especially after Far From Home, that was the whole thing. He was on a ship. We're like, why is he on a ship? You know, what's going on here? Very strange. It was
the interesting thing is, like, it was announced, like, I think Nick Fury was, like, the main character of this, and so it was like, okay, that sounds like it could be fun. But then we saw the first teaser or a trailer for this, and, like, Nick Fury looks old, and it looks like he looks kind of rough, and everyone's assumed, like, okay, we already got the trailer for Marvels at this point. What happened?
Yeah.
Like, what happened during that movie? Because, like, now I'm curious to see Marvels, the Captain Marvel 2. To know what happened here. And then, like, I don't know if it was some kind of scheduling thing, but now it's come out that Captain Marvel 2 takes place after this, and I'm just like, what?
Well,
then what happened?
Well, that fits, right? Because, I mean, I think that now that we know that it's after the fact, it fits.
Before we saw the series.
He gets on the ship. Oh, before we saw the series.
Yes.
I see. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, before the series,
because it's like, he's going through all this shit, and it's like...
Yeah.
It's like, oh, in Captain Marvel 2, he's just fine. So any result, he's going to remain unchanged.
That was a really weird choice. As you know the series is coming, you know he's gruff, but then, like you said, first Marvel's trailer, boom, he is fine, you know, looking out the ship. So it was a weird dilemma. when you realize where this is, where the Marvels is in the MCU timeline, especially after Secret Invasion. But before, like you said, just confusion.
Martin, what were your impressions when you first heard of Secret Invasion? Not what you already seen before. Like, what do you think the series is going to be?
Well, since I was a big fan of the comic books anyway, I thought it was going to be just a little more catered to the original ideas. But like for the most part, I did enjoy the series. For the most part, but it was more towards the beginning of the series that I enjoyed the most of it, because I like the whole espionage and counterfuge. You know what I mean? I like that.
Centrifuge.
Subterfuge. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
I love that. I love that. Shut up. I love that aspect of it, and I was hoping it stayed that way. But you started seeing it. You saw it right after episode 2. You started seeing it veering towards basic Marvel MCU nonsense.
Yes.
Basic. I would say basic Phase 4 nonsense. They had like a good track record. They had some misfires in between Phase 1 and 3, but I'd say it was a consistent track record with like some good stuff. Phase 4, they was just falling off and off and off and off and off.
But it was also the familiarity of how they were falling off as well. And it didn't help that all the Disney Plus series kind of fall into that well, minus Loki. Secret Invasion has that same flaw where, like you said, Martin, very quickly on, you kind of realize that this vast idea they open up with in the beginning becomes very small very quickly, and you start to get the idea. You have, I didn't even put time into putting in the cast because, again, it's just one of those things where Samuel L. Jackson is the only major thing here. You have director Krennic from Rogue One, and I think that he's cool, but I think he's wasted here, and I think what he could do is wasted here. You have, again, once you...
I think what they could have done is... I'm sorry. No, I think what they could have done is have just a few more... Like, I know because they probably wouldn't, but they have just a few more Avengers be in this series, like, because they do have people who are Skrulls and just like, but they're characters who we don't really know or have any like connection to. So to see them turn to Skrulls, we're like, oh, here's a Skrull, here's a show. But if it showed us like past superheroes, like since Endgame, not only since Civil War, since Endgame, who show up like, oh, they could have been a Skrull. He could have been a Skrull. It could just been a cameo, like a quick scene of them being on there, like a scene or two, and be like, oh, what, they a Skrull? Like that. But no, they just they like you said, they wasted the opportunity and kept it so minute that a lot of people just did not care about the reveal of who the Skrulls were or anything that followed.
Yeah, I mean, they did do the thing at the end, and we can jump straight to the end here, because we're talking about the whole thing. The whole thing about War Machine and what's his name from Wakanda Forever being Skrull, or essentially having body doubles as Skrulls at some point down the line, I don't think that's interesting, because they are essentially unnecessary kits. They're very invaluable to the MCU. And I know that we kept seeing them in the MCU, and especially in the series overall, but the idea, like, oh, at some point down the line, War Machine was a Skrull. I don't really... Like, some people are theorizing, like, maybe this was post-Civil War. I could give a fuck less. Like, I didn't care, really, because they didn't build that character enough after, like, Iron Man 2. So, like, they haven't done a lot with War Machine post-Iron Man 2. Anytime... And by the way, they kept throwing him in. That's the thing, is he was the stand-in Avenger that kept going in, getting put into streaming shows. And so, like, it's like, okay, he's irrelevant to the grander MCU to me. Like,
he's
if you're gonna keep him, yeah, right, like... So that's weird, you know? So, like, it wasn't a big reveal.
I wouldn't say that. It could have been a big reveal, but the way they chose to reveal it, it was just like, yeah, he's a Skrull. Because, okay, my major thing is, like, War Machine is a fun... Don Cheadle does play a fun character in the MCU.
Sure,
he does have fun, he has good interactions with, like, all the characters, especially, like, when he's interacting with everyone in Endgame. like trying to like he had one of the funniest lines where he's like, why don't we go back in time and just do this to Thanos or something like that. I do like and care for him as a character, but to say he was possibly a Skrull since Civil War, it's like, okay, so those interactions are just like gone, and he didn't even talk to Tony for like the last time, because he was one of the people. He was one of the last people to talk to Tony when he was dying.
Yes.
And that's like a major thing right there. Because also that's a major thing. Like Nick Fury missed. He wasn't around for Tony's death. And
they didn't touch on that at all in this series.
They didn't touch on a lot of things. It makes me wonder if like anybody on like the writing crew, have they ever played Among Us? Because this, the reason I'm asking is because this is supposed to be like it's supposed to make you paranoid. Like, who could be a Skrull? It's like, who's the it? Like, who's a monster among us? Like, who's a monster among us?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, since it's just Rhodey, like there was no second guessing this, because since he was like the only valid one there, you just figured, oh, he must be the Skrull, because there was no like I said, like they could have had just a few more people there, a few more Avengers. Yeah, because everyone in their grandma is going to look at Rhodey. Like, I'm not talking about. I
just want to before you make the point. I will say one of the biggest flaws in this movie, or I'm sorry, in this series is like, you know it was Rhodey the moment that you realize like the president only has Rhodey and like 1 or 2 Secret Service agents. I was like, who the fuck wrote this? Who fucking puts 2 Secret Service agents around the president? Do you guys not know how fucking, since the fucking dawn of time, how movies have fucking set up government security and fucking president? Like, there's fucking blanketed shit. You don't just have War Machine or fucking, Don Cheadle and then a couple other guys. That makes it obvious. That's like, so like, duh, like, okay, like you didn't, and then like, the reveal of it being like a couple of world leaders, like, okay. If those world leaders were significant, I would love if it was the Queen of Wakanda. If you said that at some point, I'd be like, oh fuck, like Jesus, that's a big fucking deal. Like, okay, like what does that mean for the goddamn next movie for Black Panther? What does that mean for the MCU? Well, doesn't mean anything. But like Martin, like you were saying, like the significance of these characters outside of Don Cheadle and the agent that was in Wakanda Forever is almost, it's small. And I like, Mark, you made a good point where it's like he has great dialogue with some of these characters sometimes, but he's not a big character. And Mark, I'm sorry, I'll pass it over to you. I talked a lot. Go ahead.
Well, like the thing is, the show does not try to be suspenseful. As soon as the suspicion comes that somebody's a Skrull, that character just turns evil. Like Rhodey, like Don Cheadle, like Don Cheadle's character, he as soon as the show is suspected he's a Skrull, he just starts becoming an asshole. Yeah. And it's like an example, scenario I can make up is like, what if Mark Ruffalo was in the show, and he was his cool, and like he was just like his cool character, and like he was just like he was not antagonizing at all. And he was supportive the whole time, and he's just like, okay, no, he's Mark Ruffalo. But then all of a sudden, his hand gets cut off, and his hand turns into like a Skrull hand. It's like, you're just like, oh no, not him!
That's selling it.
Yeah, because like when as soon as Rhodey is like, the suspicion comes that Rhodey might be a Skrull, he's like, oh fuck you, Nick Fury, I'm not working with you. Fuck, I'm an asshole. I'm gonna release this footage, bitch.
Yeah, that was
like, what? Why are you being like this?
Yeah, Martin, you have anything else added here? Keep on rolling. The show had like a lot of potential, and I was like, okay, it's gonna get better. It should get better by next episode. Okay, there's some potential with that plot structure. It should get better by next episode, and then we get to the last episode, which is all downhill. So go ahead, Martin, with the last episode.
So I have a couple of problems with Gaia, like her whole shtick with going in there with being.
Gaia's
Fury.
The daughter, right?
Yeah, Gaia's the daughter.
Yeah.
The whole time, just like, okay, that's got to be Gaia, because there's no way Nick Fury's walking in here, right up to grab it, and the whole time playing on like, who was she doing that for? Like, there was no point of her
it was for her to reveal that she has the Guardians of the Galaxy's the Drax's arms.
So since there was no learning curve for him, and that conversation just went to Gaia, like, what was the point? Like, Fury when he came down, he got almost everyone he was friends with killed, and then went back up and learned nothing because he didn't get the conversation that was supposed to be the cornerstone of why Gravik was upset with him. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because you make a good point because, he, at the end of the day, he goes back up in the ship and everything is not solved on Earth. In fact, it's slightly worse now. It's a little bit of a chaotic situation. I mean, you have government people still in a situation like that. So it's still not in, like, the most healthy scenario. But I think the writers just kind of fucked up, or whatever. Like we said, we already know the WGA, that strike is happening. So I don't know if it was Disney or like AI, whatever the writing situation was. At some point, they wrote it, and then they were like, "Oh shit!" But we got to get him back on the ship for the Marvels. So
how long do you think this was written?
It looks like it looked like it was 5 minutes the way that this story went. It was. By the way,
we saw that first episode of Futurama. Do you think it was like that?
I think the Futurama episode was handled much better. I think fuck it. There was at least witty humor for a mile.
No. I'm talking about like what they did in the episode where they had to. I'm talking about not the episode's writing itself. I'm talking about what we saw in the episode where they had to film for an hour.
Oh, of course. Of course. This is like the one of several fucking MCU shows. Of course, this is the process. Yeah, I'm not surprised. No, I think when it comes down to that situation, the daughter was fucking atrocious. Not because she was bad in acting necessarily, just because you knew immediately that this was going to be the cornerstone of this fucking series. You knew, like the minute she got on screen and she was like, "I don't know about this. I'm bad. I'm a part of the bad side, but I don't know how I feel." It's like, fuck. Okay.
Getting a lot of vibes about antagonist from
God, it's so obvious.
From Falcon and Winter Soldier, except she turns good at the end.
Yeah, the Flag Smashers bitch. It's like, but again, these are things where even though that was in Europe, that had nothing to do with the show. Even though they're both in the same area of Europe. It's like, you guys. This is why you don't have two different writing squads working separately. You have them work together and have these series connect in some way, like your MCU does. But like, for some reason, it is all over the place. You have the Flag Smashers and the Captain America story over here in literally the same area as this fucking Secret Invasion story, and it doesn't matter. Not
to defend it or anything, but the comic book does do that too, where they have a bunch of different people in the same area. They can easily go help each other if they wanted to or something like that, but they just don't. And basically they could be, I don't know, like a couple blocks from each other, and literally there's just two separate comics where it's like
Martin, I talked about that in Doctor Strange. Don't get me into that shit, please, for the love of God. I know that Manhattan is large, and there's not going to be heroes all the time helping out people. But I'm just saying, in the grand scheme,
I wasn't defending. I was just saying that it's just on the mark for the brain.
Yeah, same with DC Comics. So like, even Gotham City has a couple of heroes, and like, there's always something going on. But not everyone in Gotham City is showing up.
But I'm just saying, like, when it comes down to the fact that these MCU shows, number one, they don't have relevance to each other. So the whole purpose of the MCU, if you're looking from phase one, let's say you're starting from scratch, which is what they're doing post Endgame. If you're trying to get people involved in these new heroes, you would think the whole purpose is, let's tether these together. And they didn't really tether it together with the multiverse, because they've got 78 different multiverse situations going on. You've got all these new characters that don't tie into each other. Like I said, the Flag Smasher situation should be referenced at least, because that is a literal geographical situation, and you've got country leaders that apparently that are Skrulls. This could have been two series that connect. Also, Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Secret Invasion are working in the same tone of boots on the ground style MCU content. So this should have been a fucking layup for them to just connect these two and make it a smooth transition.
Yeah,
weird.
I do think, well, go to mines. There you go. I do think like I don't think like heroes don't need to show up in other heroes.
I don't need
all the time.
No, I don't need the MCU heroes.
But that has been a consistent problem with Phase 4. Just a lack of reference to every other thing. Mm-hmm. Like they keep trying to make a lot of things just stand alone, and I don't get that when they weren't doing that before. And then just like it usually they usually try to make these every Marvel thing advertisement for the next big thing, but like they always save that to the end. It's just as a setup.
Well, I mean, Mark, we still have so much information about the fact that Moon Knight is in the MCU. I mean, it's clearly so valuable that Moon Knight was in the MCU, and in fact, they made a series a year ago. It feels a year ago, and we've gotten so much information about the fact that he's in the MCU. Of course. Yeah.
I worded that improperly. What I'm saying is like they what they do now is just like they'll give you a piece of the story of the solo character story.
Yeah.
And then they'll we'll give you the other piece later instead of referencing anything else that happens in the MCU. We're not we're not getting other pieces of other properties of the Marvel brand. We're just getting singular pieces and it's just stopping its story and it's like, hey, you're gonna get the other piece of this character story later.
Absolutely. I just thought. Go ahead, Martin. You had something to
say? My bad. Hit the button by mistake. But I would say time is definitely an issue currently in Marvel. Whereas in a lot of things are spaced so far apart that they introduce a character now, and then they don't get the payoff until 2 years from now.
Well, Shang-Chi is going to be... Shang-Chi 2 isn't going to be until after the next Avengers movie. The next 2 Avengers movies will happen, and then we finally get a sequel to Shang-Chi.
But apparently those rings are important.
No, I mean the TV series. The stuff they in there, they won't pay off until a lot later. So there's a time where people are they're gonna appear later on. People are like, oh yeah, that did happen, and that did happen back on that show.
People are gonna remember. It's been, dude. You're gonna it's different between Phase 1. You needed to watch 5 movies max. 5 movies, not impossible. Phase 4 and 5, you gotta watch fucking 78 hours of MCU, and then in 2026, you're gonna get a fucking Avengers reference to one of those fucking shows, and then it's like,
that's what I'm saying. I agree.
You remember that shit? No, I don't fucking remember that shit. You know why? Because I have a life, bitch. I don't fucking remember that a writer said in 2 fucking years ago. I don't remember that 2 fucking years ago. Oh fuck! Fuck. All right, you guys don't see this. Good. You don't remember that 2 fucking years ago this shit fucking happened? I don't remember. I don't care. And I barely care about this relationship. I don't care about the relationship. Let me move on. What do you think? But Mark, what do you think of Nick Fury overall?
His character gotten so much worse in this show.
Yes.
I remember the last episode make a big deal I'm putting on my eye patch, I'm putting on my jacket. What is the significance of that? That's not his powers. He doesn't have a superhero suit. It's not like the end of the first season of Daredevil where he finally gets the suit after you've been waiting for him to get the suit the whole time. It's just I have my eye patch and my jacket now.
I'm tough.
Alright, I'm going.
It's so weird because I don't know if you saw the Hulu promos at YouTube. Disney blitzed on YouTube where they had Hulu promos and they had Samuel L. Jackson's big line where he was even when I'm out, I'm still in. And they kept playing that. But literally right after that scene, he's having a fucking panic attack because he just said that. And it's dude, can you at least have him have some fucking strength?
But here's the thing: was he ever out of it? The last time we seen him in action, I think was Captain America, Winter Soldier. Because
I think it was Avengers, just the original Avengers, where he
Winter Soldier.
He shot that rocket ship.
Winter Soldier, because that was after.
Oh, are you talking about Nick Fury, or are you talking about
in action? Period. Because other than that, he's just been in the background. Yeah. I remember the last real spoken time we've seen him was
we thought it was Far From Home. But then we realized at the end that it's not him.
Yeah.
So that didn't matter.
And he was at the end of Infinity War just disappearing.
Yeah, apparently with what's her name who got shot, Which by the way, again.
Oh wait, you meant when you're saying in action, I thought you meant in action as in fighting. You meant just being there.
Just around, because he's just every character keeps talking about he's been out of it for a while. And he's like, yeah, I've been out of it for a while.
Literally a decade, motherfucker.
Where have you been? Like, the last real time we seen him was, like, at the end of Far From Home, 2 Spider-Man movies ago.
And again, that was him just being on a ship. That wasn't him doing anything
taking a holographic vacation.
I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything... Was there anything in Phase 3 he was a part of? Really? Like, significantly?
Besides fucking disappearing. Because even Samuel Jackson, because like he should have been a part of Civil War. Even Samuel Jackson was pissed like they didn't write Nick Fury in Civil War for some reason.
Yeah, it's like how far has he been in? How long has he been in space apparently, or how long has he just been out of this
Captain
MCU
Marvel takes
situation?
Place in the fucking 90s.
And Captain Marvel is not.
I think he went up there right after he got back from getting dusted. Like after he got dusted, he went up there because I think it's somewhere in Secret Invasion that they say he was just.
No. We know that he was on Earth because he gets dusted. But I'm saying like, where the fuck was he then between Winter Soldier and when he got dusted? Because
we're asking the audience haven't seen him in a while, but like the show keeps telling us that he's been out of it.
He's not ready for this. You're not ready for this, Nick Fury.
He's been different.
You've been wearing Pampers in space. You're not ready for this, Nick Fury. Things changed since the blip. It's like, yeah, things changed since Winter Soldier, man. Like, fuck. My God. You know, it's just hard to place. That's all we're saying, Martin. You know?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie, I did like him, the dynamic between him and his wife and, what's her name, Maria, at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was some top tier, like, things for me. I really like those, situations, the conversations between them. It wasn't until later on, like it wasn't until really after Talos died that it's like he stopped caring. Like when Talos died, that should have been a really, really big deal. It should have been something, but it wasn't. It because you think about it, he's been friends with Talos since what? The beginning.
Since the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. And to have him die, have Maria die and not care, like she's supposed to be his second in command, and it just passed right over. I was like, somebody told me the death baiting, like it would kill someone and like and that brings you back to watch the next episode, and then it kills someone again, and that brings you back to watch the episode because she died in the second episode? No, she died in the first. She died in the second episode.
Yeah.
And then he died in the third. No, Gaia died in the third, and then Talos died in the fourth. And death baiting. So it keep coming back. And I remember, when you just do that over and over again, the whole death just loses its meaning. Like, especially when Fury doesn't really acknowledge the fact that and ends up going back up into space all happy with his wife. Not that I don't want him to get back with his wife. I'm just saying that
there's bigger things to fry here. There's bigger shit that happened, that isn't being acknowledged.
And it's like, what are you guys doing? It's like he didn't care, and he should show some type of
acknowledgement, deeper acknowledgement than the mother just telling him that she died for nothing.
And as far as we know, we've been with him for like all of Far From Home, and we've probably been with him since probably since the first Avengers. That probably could have been him. Cause
you mean the fake him, or what do you mean?
The fake him, because he's been in space for like an undisclosed amount of time. So that Graphic is his name? What was it?
I don't remember.
The fucking Skrulls name that died. Yeah. What's his name, Martin?
Who? You talking about the last Skrull that died, or his friend?
No, Ben Mendelsohn.
Nick Fury's friend.
This guy right here on screen. Ben Mendelsohn.
Talos? Yes, Talos.
Yeah, there we go.
Talos.
Whatever.
We could Talos could have been Nick Fury the whole time, since Avengers probably.
I mean, there's a chance. It's just one of those things where you're looking at this, and this is again back to what we've said the entire time, which is these shows are written like fucking garbage. You're dealing with things that matter in the MCU overall. These are things that are relevant and valuable. I don't know what's happening.
My computer every time it does that, my computer just fell asleep. Sorry,
gotcha.
Because it's connected to the same.
But these are things that are relevant to a thing that's been around for literally 15 years. 15 years, the MCU. And you aren't you got to have the best writing team, and they just haven't. They haven't. They didn't have it on. They didn't finish Moon Knight well. They didn't finish WandaVision well. They didn't finish these things have ripple effects to the movies, and we saw that with obviously the Doctor Strange movie. We saw that with we're seeing that with the way that they handled Captain and the Winter Soldier. Whatever. I mean the fucking Falcon and Winter Soldier movie. It's show. I mean,
I'd say one of the few that finished well was Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's like apparently it's just one of those things where. It is, you need to value these things because, like you said, Nick Fury should care about these deaths. We should be attached to the fact that these characters are dying, especially a character that's been around in the MCU since the very beginning. Like, these are characters that should have more than just one episode. This is something where Nick Fury should be saying, I'm doing this for her, not just, I'm just moving around because I feel good. Like, it's just a shit development, the way that they're handling these characters, and I just think, like, you need to do better as a writing team, and whether that's the AI, whether that's Disney being lazy about it, whether that's, the writing staff itself.
Question, was this before or after, was this done before or after the whole writer's strike thing? Because I'm not giving them an excuse or an out, I'm just saying, it could have been a factor into it.
This is my thing. Is Secret Invasion should have been written before that. It shouldn't be 2 months before we're writing Secret Invasion. This is the thing with Disney. Like,
I remember, it probably was a rumor. I feel like the name was going around. I know. I feel like the name was going around since the movies.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I feel like the name was going around since Phase 3, and I think it was rumored to be a movie in the beginning, which it should have been.
Yeah. This is a thing that's been happening with Disney on all fronts, which is the fact that you have, for instance, Frozen 2 was written last minute, even though that is one of their biggest animated properties, and they waited until, the very end to jump in on it. You look at, this series, where it's this should have been written long before. I'm trying to think of all of the shit where they've had opportunities to write earlier. Incredibles, for instance, Pixar. You had Incredibles 2, and it's we're going to write the script right at the end, and then we're going to start production. It's this shit should have been thought about, written, planned long before, so you know what you're doing, because this feels half-assed. This should have been something that's out for quite a long time. I just heard power off. Do you hear that on your mic? All right, yeah. So, what do you think of the big bad here? I find him. I feel like they really, again, this is another situation where he kind of wasted his potential because it was cheesy at a certain point. He was very very cartoon of the week type or villain of the week type guy.
He had some really, really good speeches. I love, like I said, I love when he was talking to Gaia. That whole scene right there where he was just giving his all. Yeah, the final episode when he was in the machine and he was telling her, he was just putting it all out there on the screen and just putting it up there. I was like, wow, he's really you really feel it. You can really feel it in his acting right now. I kind of that was the episode, but in the middle, from between where he was, it was written ways that was kind of stupid. Why didn't you kill Fury here, or why didn't you kill him there? They even brought it up in the episode. Wait, why didn't you just kill him here? Because you could have been done with this already. And
yeah, I would say you're right. The acting chops that he has range, and he was really maximized toward the end. But yeah, he was written in a way that was just like you said, just weak, because he could have killed him in several opportunities. He had tons of opportunities to jump in on that, but. Yeah, Mark, what did you think of the main villain here of this Secret Invasion series?
He's a good actor, like you said. We saw him in Barbie.
I couldn't take him seriously, by the way. Once I saw him, I'm glad that I saw it after Secret Invasion because it's weird watching him now. But go ahead. What do you think?
He plays menacing very well. Well, it's not about his acting, but I love the speech he gives out at the end of the episode. Where you think it would make the character of Nick Fury really think, because he was talking about how he killed the face he's using is the first man Nick Fury to have him kill. But then you find out that Nick Fury isn't the real Nick Fury, so that whole speech is pointless. It's pretty pointless. It could have helped develop Nick Fury's character if he would stop to think about that. But he didn't hear any of that. And I guess he has no Nick Fury has no moral change by the end of this series. So Secret Invasion is just kind of pointless except for the state of the Earth is in now.
Yep,
Which is like set up for the X-Men.
That made no sense that Gaia was there instead of Fury. That's what I was making earlier. Like that whole conversation just went out the window, and he did such a great job at it, and it just was no real reason for it because Gaia doesn't care. Gaia doesn't care about that conversation. She just wants him dead. And
I know her only input was like, yeah, I killed two. I had to kill two.
Mark, you hear him now? You have the earphones?
I'm putting it in and out of the charger.
Okay. I it's just one of those things where you're in a situation where, I wish that he was maximized better, and again, he's doing a monologue, and I think that's the thing that I kind of, it's like the way that they write these villains, like, I appreciate that they had let a monologue, because, he's no Jonathan Majors, by the way. If you're talking about a villain, like a guy that plays menacing well, I think that Jonathan Majors carries that weight.
Jonathan,
I think
is he
shut the fuck up. But he plays it well, but it's just like he's at times overacting a bit to me. I don't feel it sometimes. I feel like he's just like, like when he's in that circle with the world leaders, and he's like, he thinks, and this is his big power moment because everyone else are Skrulls too, but he's the real bad guy. It's like I don't really feel that fucking threatening thing. I think maybe that's just because I know at the end of the day he's gonna die, because that's the whole fucking premise of these MCU shows. But like, I could just see through this series, and that's the thing. No, and I don't care, man. That's the thing. I don't care.
By the way, I love that like that action scene in episode 6, the final action scene. 2 action figures just clashing together for about 6 minutes. That's what it was. It was just nonsense.
Like, oh, come on. Are you really kidding me?
Because
this is how we're going to start an espionage series with a big old stupid...
There was no thought behind that. It was literally like a little kid just like fucking writing that fight scene. It's like, then he uses the Hulk powers, and then he uses Drax's powers, and then she uses Captain Marvel's powers, and he uses telekinesis, then she uses Manus powers.
It was so fucking... Again,
and
it's so trash.
There's no...
What is this, Free Guy? What the fuck are we doing? What is this, Free Guy? The guy that fucking comedy movie?
Yeah, like, if it was a comedy, I would be all in for that action sequence, but, it was... we were supposed to take it seriously.
Again, I will bring back again, I think that was... there was episode 5 where the president gets, almost killed. Is that right? Well, that was episode 5, I think. Right, second to last episode where it's fucking... Again, the whole thing where it's like his caravan just blows up immediately is such bullshit. Again, they don't know... if you want me to take this seriously, can you write it seriously? Or whoever's directing that scene, it was just dog shit. The whole way. Again, Nick Fury pulls up behind everyone. Everything's good. Ben Mendelsohn's with him. Such... Just whoever wrote the scene, whoever designed the scene, whoever did set design, whoever fucking directed that, all that shit was absolutely awful. Everything about that in the middle of the field and shit where, the fucking, where the president gets, almost killed or whatever, that whole sequence was awful. And I don't know who thought that was smart or logical or made sense at all, but it didn't fit.
That was a poorly edited live stream of Call of Duty right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But going back to that final fight scene, that vial makes no sense. Where it's all the DNAs just in one vial.
Yeah.
And it's just wouldn't that make some kind of Cronenberg creation or something? Those DNAs, because that's how babies are made. It's DNAs.
Well, I think it's just because the Skrulls are so they're going on the fact that the Skrulls can change their appearance and all of that. So it didn't actually become what do you call it, a Eldritch Beast or something in appearance.
Is that your take on it, or did it show?
Yeah, I agree.
That didn't explain it. That's just interpretation.
Yeah. I can tell you what the final action scene should have been. It should have been the final scene in the Emperor's New Groove, where they're fighting over vials, and they would there's different, each superpower would be a different vial, and so every time they just take a vial, they turn into that monster, and then like how she would win, and she would look at the vial, like the last vial, like Captain Marvel's vial. Look, boom. And then it would be like, oh shit, she got Captain Marvel's vial.
Well, it's better. It's not the greatest writing, but it's better than what the fuck we got. I'll say that much.
Because like they could put out any power at any point they want, and like the last one is like, why didn't you put out Captain Marvel's power to begin with? And then I'm thinking, why didn't he pull out Captain Marvel's power? Because he got it too. This made no sense.
Yeah. I will say like I said, and I said this. I think we said this in passing casually. This idea is really good. This is a really good idea. And I honestly think that before Kang, this should have been the idea. Is after the blip, everyone comes back, and the whole confusion is, oh fuck, people are not real. They're not actually who they say they are. Even heroes, and shit's going left, and things are happening. I think this should have been what led into Phase 4, and then Phase 5 and whatever, you move on into Kang. But throwing in the multiverse, throwing in Kang, throwing in all this fucking shit, it's chaos now. The MCU's a mess. And then you add in Secret Invasion as a side story, and it's just not, it's half-baked. It's fucking awful. You know, like, again, I think this really does deserve its own, like, arc and in the entirety of the MCU.
But also this has separate ideas of the multiverse that then they don't connect immediately. Like, you have what happens in Spider-Man. That doesn't connect to what happens in Doctor Strange. That doesn't connect to what happens in Loki. And that doesn't connect to Marvel's What If, which is apparently canon to the MCU.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, like, you have all these multiverses things that should immediately connect, have nothing to do with each other at the moment, and the only, like, connection was Doctor Strange did reference, like, yeah, I messed with the multiverse before with Spider-Man, and, like, Spider-Man, he shoot webs off his butt? I hope not. Ugh, butt webs.
Yeah, I think that, this has been an issue with, you know, you throw in 78 different types of multiverse things, you throw in all these characters, you throw in Secret Invasion.
That doesn't connect to anything.
Ant-Man doesn't connect to anything, but we got to see the Rebels in the fucking multiverse, because who the fuck cares about those people? But, you know, I just, you know. So, just to, you know, sort of lean toward closing the door. So, is this a new high for the MCU, for the Disney Plus series? It sounds like it, doesn't it? It sounds like this was a new high. Yeah, fuck no, but, you know, this was another fucking, I'll say this was Disney Channel level writing. So yeah, this was a Disney Channel original level, not Disney Plus, Disney Channel original MCU story. So you know,
for the most part, I still would like to give the first 3 episodes of the series props, because I did enjoy watching the first 3 episodes. It wasn't until it got to the later episodes that I started to fall off.
I would say that too. I enjoyed some moments.
And definitely that last scene, that scene with the fight, it just threw me off altogether. I was just like, that was not absolute nonsense. You didn't need it.
Yeah, I feel you. I just felt like you could tell from a mile away that this was going to be, once they showed the daughter in the fucking evil lair, I'm like, well, shit. And she's like, I don't know if, you can tell, like, I don't know if I like this fucking situation. I don't know if I support this cause. It's like, then why the fuck are we following you? Why the fuck are we following you at all? Like, why is it that every time there's always some fucking character that doesn't know if they want to be there? It's such a shit idea. Like so many of these Marvel shows, it's like, well, there's a conflicted character in the fucking villain area, so we should have them. It's like, we've seen that a billion times. Can we please just have a villain and just not have a side piece? Like, we don't need to see that. We don't even, by the way, they introduced the guy, that she helps out this guy, brings him in, and he's only brought in to die later on.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be important by the end of the show, but he just dies. Yeah. I forgot about him. It's not going to clear thoughts anyway, but like, Martin, you'll go last. So like, Bryan, what is your final thoughts?
What a smooth transition, I tell you what. Yeah, I just think, you know, like, I already basically said it. I think that overall this was a weakly developed series. They wasted the opportunity that they had to tell a story that involves characters that are apparently important to the whole story of Captain Marvel, by the way. So this also collapses the value of the sequel. This completely collapses the value of that, because this story is essentially pointless in the end. Like, it leads to more chaos that isn't resolved, but I know that's an MCU thing, but I'm saying, like, the relevance is pointless. The acting was fine, but what the dialogue was kind of stupid at times. The characters, it was like, I should say, just the story direction was obvious. Again, classic MCU, like Disney Plus trope. But yeah, classic Disney MCU trope. So, you know, no surprise there. Martin or Mark, which one do you want to toss it, or do you?
I'm gonna go. Martin's gonna go last. But like, this, I was excited for the potential of this show, and then it just like let me down hard, because there was every episode I had like, just like every other Marvel show, just like had theories of what's to come next. Like people like this show promised like, hey, there's people you've known for years are probably they're gonna be revealed to be Skrulls, and like that had a lot of like theories floating around, just like, you know, the theory of Mephisto being in WandaVision, but like it just let me down so hard, and it just I'm gonna watch it anyway because I watch every movie in theaters, and I'm like, no matter what, I'm gonna try to keep up with the Marvel universe. I'm still caught up to everything, but like I'm gonna watch Captain Marvel 2 anyway, but I have no interest in it, and I've lost so much interest to see that movie, and this is probably going to be the same way for a lot of their audience. I think, if you've been hearing the rumors that have been going around, Disney is not sure what to do with the Marvels. Like, because they already changed the date. It was what we were supposed to binge watch. It was supposed to
be last weekend. Is when
yeah, and like they changed it to like November. And, like, I think there's a rumor, like, it's, like, it might not even be an IMAX.
I'm gonna be honest, Barbie might completely change that. They might see the success of Barbie and say, fuck it, we'll see if female power can get us through this writer's strike situation, because that's
there ain't no Barbie in that movie, but, like, but like...
Brie Larson.
I don't know, but, like, this, I mean, Wonder Woman was a success.
That's what I'm saying, like, there's a chance. I don't know what women like. I don't know if they're going to go see it. They saw Barbie in droves. They saw Wonder Woman in droves. We both, men and women, saw Wonder Woman in droves. People saw Captain Marvel. It still made $1 billion. We think it's because it was in between Infinity War and Endgame, but we don't know now. We have no idea if it's because of that, because that's the test. Disney is unsure. I don't think they're going to move this, but the theory, like you said, is they're worried about it.
I mean, I can tell you what women like. It isn't you! Ah! Got him!
We're never cutting back to Mark. We're never cutting back to Mark again. Martin, say your thoughts.
This is like it was just thrown together to give something Nick Fury to do.
Yeah, I just think, you know, again, this is another series, or not another. This is just another part since Captain Marvel where Nick Fury gets weaker as an interesting character. Remember back in Winter Soldier, the movie, where we were like, damn, how did he get that eye patch? Last time I trusted someone, I lost my eye. And then we saw Captain Marvel, and his fucking eye got ripped out because of a cat that is a fucking alien being, which was the least interesting reason for him to lose his eye. And in this show, he's essentially weaker overall than ever before. And then in the Marvels trailer, we saw that he's comfortable with it. He's like, hey kid, like, I don't want to see him be a fucking chill dude. I want him to be the fucking cool, badass motherfucker. That's Nick Fury. I don't care if we need to see him grow or whatever. I want to see him be a cool motherfucker. That's my point. And we are just, you know, again, I love Samuel L. Jackson, but this is just, you know, it's getting worse, not better, as seeing him as a character.
On another thing, I could forgive a cat. If a cat decided to scratch my eye, I think I could forgive it too. So yeah, I do agree with that part of Nick Fury.
Yeah, but Secret Invasion, yeah, that was something. That was definitely totally worth 5.5 hours worth of time, guys. Of course, this is the StreamBlast. If I can get Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, this was the ScreenBlast podcast after all those slides. This is the ScreenBlast podcast, guys. That was our thoughts on Secret Invasion. Of course, you can find Martin here, apparently, on the ScreenBlast podcast. He has no other location for us to tell you guys about.
Gosh dang it, you.
we can, obviously, Mark, where can they find you?
At K9biskuts.com. That's K9BISKUTS. Biscuits is spelled incorrectly on purpose.
Yes, indeed. Of course, you can find me at athemocracy, athemocracy.com, or right here on ScreenBlast, guys.
Or at McDonald's. He's at the McDonald's across the street. Go find him and beat him up.